Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to get into comparing these two multi-tools. Now, these are ones that I already had on the channel. But the thing about it is this, which is known as the Gerber Armbar Slim Drive, and this is the regular Gerber Armbar. I lost this for a time period and happened to come across it again. And what's funny is that when I lost this was the reason that I ended up purchasing the Gerber Armbar Drive, the regular non-slim version. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just a couple of days ago, I found this one. And so being that me losing this was the motivation to buy this one, now I have both and I can compare them. So though I've done a review on both of them separately, this is just a comparison video. So if you don't mind watching kind of a re-breakdown of both of these tools and what I think is the pros and cons to each one, then just stay tuned and we're going to jump right into this. So first, sorry about that. So first, this is the Armbar Drive Slim, or sometime I get that backwards and it's Armbar Slim Drive. I'm not sure, but for now, we're just going to call it the Armbar Drive Slim. And this one essentially has just 3 tools on it. And is more kind of the straight to the point, more, what's the word I want to use? Cut the fat version, where out all the extra kind of stuff. It's straight up the things that I feel, and I did this in a review of this tool, that I feel is straight the things you are guaranteed to need, without any of the things that you might not need. So this one comes with your screwdriver, with obviously your reversible bit. Let me put this back. Sorry, guys, I'm a little distracted with the fact that I don't know if I like the angle of this. So I might readjust the angle, but bear with me. Your knife, which I think is a nice knife. I think the length on it is pretty good. I think it's about 2.5 inches, but I think it's pretty good, especially for the size of the tool. And you have your bottle opener. I don't know if you want to say you could use this as a pry tool, but for the most part, it's just a bottle opener, or obviously any kind of container that you might need to pry open. You probably could get away with using it for that. And it just folds back in, and you have a little key ring on it. All right, sorry about that. I just wanted to adjust my angle a little bit more. Now, so this is just the bare basics, as I mentioned before. I feel of like this tool line being that it's slimmed down, or any tool line just in general, as that it's slimmed down. It has 3 tools, 3 that I feel 100%, like I mentioned before, you will definitely use. It's not something that you would find yourself not using. You're always going to need a screwdriver. You always need a knife, and this doesn't take a lot of take up a lot of space, the bottle opener, but definitely. So in regards to saying if it's needed, it really doesn't take up any extra space on the tool. But yeah, when you need a bottle opener, you need one. There's not really too many other ways around that. So I definitely would put it in a category of something that you need for the times that you need it. And though that could be applied to almost any tool, I'm viewing this tool from a domesticated standpoint, what an average person would use on an everyday basis. That they would really need without, say needing a heavy tool. So, I mean, that's debatable, but I'll put it on a category that for at least in this video, we're going to say something that you need. Slimming it down to a no fat diet in terms of your multi-tool. Now, this one, the Armbar Drive, comes with obviously the screwdriver drive, the knife, which is the same knife, and the awl right here, which, for hole punching, which I can't really say how useful that would be for someone's everyday use, but at the same time too, you could see here that between the scissor and which we're about to get into in a moment, that's the scissor, between the scissor and the screwdriver, there really isn't a lot of room for anything else, because you could see how the screwdriver gets wide and there's really only room to fit something small in there. So there's really not much you could have done other than all. Maybe you could have been redundant with a really small screwdriver, but what's the point of that? You already have a great screwdriver here. So there's almost really no point to that. That one away. And then you have the scissors, which, see, here we go, which I think they cut fine for some basic tasks. I've used them before to cut regular paper, something that I drew on it for my kids, and I had to cut it out the shape of it. So I was able to do that with these. So they're fine in a pinch. I'm not usually a fan of scissors that use a little bar like that as the spring, because what often will happen is, with me when I've used this, and this is mainly mostly with the Gerber line, when you're pressing this, sometimes this will come out of balance and this little bar will wrap around this handle. And at that point now, you'll never be able to use it in that same way without pressing this in. So I don't like that. So it is what I would definitely call a tool that is very usable and makes sense to have. But I also feel that the design here makes it something that I could see going wrong. And I've had that on one of my Gerber tools happen before. And after that, it really just doesn't cut anymore. It's not good for anything. You have the little hammer tool to kind of bang down on something, and the pry tool or pry bar, which can be used for prying things, like maybe a paint jar open, or obviously it's also the bottle cap opener, which this would definitely be probably a better use for a pry bar than, say, the bottle cap opener here. But I think for the most part, you can get away with using this one in that same fashion. You just obviously can't use it in the form of a hammer. Now, looking at the dimensions of the two, you could see that the Slim is longer than the base armbar drive by a little bit, not a lot. Let me bring it up a little closer. By a little bit, not a lot. And I'll put them on the table and line them correctly so you can properly see the length, maybe. So right here, they're exactly lined up. So you can see it's a little bit, I could say the camera is probably not going to display this as well, because looking through the camera right now, it looks like it's a lot more longer. I would say that that right there is the equivalent of like maybe 5 millimeters. So it's really not much at all. But in terms of the slimness, it is a decent slim. I mean, to be honest with you, both of these tools are very almost equally pocketable. It's just a matter of having a little bit more weight in the pocket. They're not exactly the same slimness, but they're both really about there. So I think what it really comes down to is, do you feel you would use the bonus tools on that, and the fact that this one has the key ring? I think you could squeeze. Yeah, you could squeeze a key ring. I don't even know why they didn't put one on here right there. You could squeeze your own key ring right there. So in that aspect, you actually could get away with it. It's actually in the exact same spot. When I look at it now, they just chose not to put it on there. I don't even know why. Maybe because, I mean, this one's a fully connected piece, while this one is not. But I still think you could put a key ring on there and it's not going to slip through that little crack. So that is well, would it get in the way of the blade? Maybe, depending on the type. I don't know. But nonetheless, that's a factor to help you decide maybe that this one comes with that. I don't really think so. It's a big deal. The driver lines look a little bit different. I don't know why they designed them like that. So when I look at it, though the headpieces are the exact same, I've done that before. I've taken these out and they actually both fit in the other one's driver. So that's not an issue. But just looking at them here, I could tell that the Slim, which is this one, has a fatter base area. At least that's the way it looks like to me. You know, I don't know if it just kind of deceives you because this flatter edge is wider and it comes round the side, where this is, the flat piece here is thinner and then comes round more on the side. I don't know. You know what? Let's try some. Let's try to see if we compare them straight and how that kind of looks. Yeah, it's chunkier on the Slim. So I don't know why they do it that way. Maybe it's because this one has to shave off some more space. You could even see the arm of it too is a little bit more beefier. I don't know why they do that. That's actually pretty interesting. I don't know if it has any benefit to it for being that way. I can't really speak on that. But the bit tools are exactly the same as far as how they house inside. You could even see here that the Slim is beefier in terms of the metal that's around the bit drive. So it's curious to know why they do that. I always knew that off of memory that they looked a little different, but I didn't realize that the Slim was actually beefier. Now, I'm going to come back to that in a moment, but just the differences between the two tools, like I said, it's really you coming down to, do you just want the meat and potatoes of this type of tool, or do you want to have things like the scissors and the awl, which I think the hammer and the pry bar is actually a step up and a good benefit. I think these two tools, really, some of the scissors and the awl, and the scissors, I actually think in general are great on a tool, but being that these type of scissors, I don't know how great they are. On a pinch, they might be okay, but I think that takes away some points. So with that being said, I would say I don't know how much these two things will be important to you to choose it over the Slim, but I definitely would say if you have the regular one at a cheaper price than the Slim, just coincidentally, because I see the prices fluctuate all the time with these things, I would say then there's nothing wrong with just going for the one that's cheaper. If your primary use of the tools is the drive, the knife, and some kind of bottle cap opener, or in this case, the hammer and pry bar, I would say go with the one that's just cheaper, unless you specifically really need these extra two tools. Now, the main difference between the two, and a thing of contention that most people jump on, which I think really, I mentioned it on the separate reviews, but I'm really going to point it out now. And this will pretty much finish off the video. Link in the description below for you guys to purchase these through affiliated links on Amazon. But pretty much the thing I want to jump into is, a lot of people would say they were bothered by the fact that this the drive doesn't have that much retention or a locking mechanism, or just it doesn't have a locking mechanism, but the retention is not very tight. Now, I will say that to me personally, I used to say this doesn't really bother me that much because the angle that it's crafted at aligns there. This is why it pivots outwards a little bit, like more into the center through that kind of like arc. It goes to the center. So when you put pressure on it, it's not going to really spin away, like, or like break away. It's not going to do that because it's centered. Unless for some reason you're coming at it at some angle and then, all of a sudden it pushes in. But unless you're pushing down on it while you're spinning it, that's the only way something like that will happen. So I think, generally speaking, especially if you're using it for a house tool, like small things to screw in that don't take a lot of pressure, maybe toys or some piece of wood with a nail that, you're not really putting a whole lot of pressure into it. You don't need a power tool. I think that's fine. But with that being said, this one's retention is okay. You see, it's got almost like a small faint of a snap feeling, but not much. It's only when you push it in, not on its own. But because that bar right here is thick and it's very strong, it doesn't have any play, that kind of back retention bar. This one right here, being that it's so small, it gives way, and so it will adjust. You'll see it here. I don't know if you saw that because I moved it a bit. So let me try to get it where you don't. And it slides right in. And if you could tell right there. So this piece right here, sorry about the focusing. This piece right here, you see how that's flat? That aligns directly with this piece. This piece gives leeway to move upwards a little bit where that little point is, if you can see it there. And then it falls into place, giving it almost like this natural kind of fall in place retention. So this one, the Slim, when people would make that claim with the regular armbar, the Armbar Slim actually has a bit more retention. I remember when I first bought this one and was doing the review on it, I would make note of that it didn't feel that bad. I wasn't sure what people were talking about, that it felt really bad. And then after getting the regular armbar, I realized that the Slim and the regular armbar are different in that way. And this one has a lot less retention naturally. And it's really working off the angle, while this one has a little bit of retention where it's working not just off the angle of being straight, but a little bit of that retention. So that is definitely a difference. And if that's something that really, really bothers you, go with the Slim over the Armbar. But some people just feel like they don't want neither one of these because they don't like that. I feel that it's not a bad thing because I feel these tools are so small that they really work good in a pinch. I don't think there's that many available tools at this price range that give you a real screwdriver in terms of, not some kind of flat screwdriver piece, but it's an actual dimensional screwdriver. Unlike some of the ones that come with some, non-bit or removable type of screwdrivers or multi-tools and whatnot, or even how Leatherman does theirs, where they do have the removable bits, but they're very flat. These are very dimensional. And so I feel for such a small pocketable tool, you're getting a very good screwdriver, regardless of that little debate of retention. I feel that you're getting a pretty good knife. You're getting a bottle opener. And so whichever one that you choose, I feel that just the pocketability of this, where you wouldn't mind carrying it in a pinch. I don't mind throwing this in my pants pocket. And I'm a huge stickler about having things in my pants pocket because I like to travel light. I don't mind that, or throwing them in a jacket pocket. Both of them are very small. So I'd say with that being the case, I definitely would say, I think it's worth it regardless of those things that some people consider as negatives, because if you're using it for a casual domesticated tool, these for screwdrivers will easily screw drive any basic thing you have around the house that you don't need a lot of pressure for or nothing like that. The basic thing that you would normally reach for a screwdriver for. The knife will cut through anything you basically need to cut through on your regular domesticated lifestyle, meaning some boxes from Amazon, or, something that you just got to cut real quick, or whatever the case is. Obviously, the bottle opener, if you're the type of person who goes out with friends or whatever the case is, or just even in your house in general, you don't have a bottle opener. Most of the time, the bottle openers are going to be connected to, say, a can opener. But what if your bottle opener is somewhere inside your drawer, where, if you're a multi-tool person, you probably have one of these at easier access than you do your bottle, your can opener. You might be, like I said, in the drawer while this is just laying on your table or in your pants pocket. Things like that just make this very convenient for almost anything you can think of on your basic domestic needs. And that's why I like these tools so much. So that's just a little comparison between the two, you guys. As always, like, share, subscribe. Be safe. Take care. If you guys want to keep something like this in your everyday carry setup, I definitely recommend it for that reason. Especially on this channel, we kind of really focus on things just catering to your needs and being a little bit simple while you're accessorizing. So maybe you don't want something heavy duty, and whatever the case is. So that's my recommendation with them. Like I said, links in the description. And as always, you guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video.